Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Vanchakalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Yantah Pradishya Mama Vachim Imam Prasuptam Sanjeevayate Kila Shakti Daraksvadam Nanyam Shahasta Charana Shravanatva Gadim Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Swasyastu Vishwasya Kalah Prasidatam Dhyantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodya Manascha Badram Vajata Tadokshaje Adeshyatam No Matirapyahaitu Kim. All right.
Yes, raganuga-bhakti group.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my
Hare Krishna.
obeisance. Hare Krishna. I'm very happy to see you. Thank you for coming. Maharaj, is a kind of a dream coming true. Actually, I was hearing you since this morning, different lectures on the Holy Name. And just I must mention you previously also, like, I just met Radha Pramod few days back here, and I got to access to multiple your discussions, dialogues on Holy Name. One thing which I want to ask you about, you were talking about in one of the sessions on Bhajana-rahasya, how Bhakti Vijnana Thakur mentions the 8 stages, and like this, it's a development and realization on every stage and how you evolve yourself over there. So in that section, maybe I was able to just get about the first verse about the Shraddha. The first, the Sishtastakam verse talks about the Shraddha, and some more things into that. My question is, like, maybe you can put some spotlight on few of the verses, like maybe at least first 4 or few verses you would like to mention. What exactly, how we need to dwell ourselves into these verses, and what are the stages and what we can expect from us, like in the involvement and the taste for the chanting of the Holy Name. Am I clear, Maharaj, in my question?
Yes, so you want me to elaborate on different... I was talking about the first part of Bhajana-rahasya, which is dedicated to Shraddha. You want me to tell something about next chapters of Bhajana-rahasya,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
First of all, let me tell that a very important point about Shraddha, the face. Of course, face is not a very good translation of this Sanskrit word, Shraddha. Srila Prabhupada many times explains that Shraddha means reverence, Shraddha means respect, Shraddha means the place where we put our heart in. So one very important point which is indicated in Bhaktivinoda Thakur explanation of Shraddha is that Shraddha actually implies that you understand the dynamic of spiritual life. You understand the path of spiritual life, how it goes from point A till the last point when we achieve desired result. So Shraddha doesn't mean that I believe in Krishna and I believe in the chanting. Shraddha also means, very importantly, the understanding how this chanting dynamic, the process of chanting works, and what are the stages which I encounter on the path of my chanting. Therefore, why I'm saying this, then it will become clear how Bhaktivinoda Thakur presents further stages of spiritual development in Bhajana-rahasya. So first Shraddha, and on this stage you have the initial impetus to chant the holy name because you believe in the wonderful results which this chanting will bring on every stage. And therefore, the verse which summarizes Shraddha is the first verse of Shikshashtaka, which tells about different stages and results on different stages, how the progression goes. So, and now that's being said about Shraddha, and of course Shraddha we know means enthusiasm. Bhaktivinoda Thakur many times says that the sign of real Shraddha is utsaha, enthusiasm. He says there is no meaning in the word Shraddha, faith, if there is no enthusiasm. So this enthusiasm and understanding of the whole path of spiritual development and the subsequent results on each stage is all implied in the first verse of Shikshashtaka. Then the next verse is, of course, Bhajana Kriya and Anartha Nivriti, Nam Nama Kari Bahudanija Sarva Shakti Statrarpitani Amitasmaranena Kalaha. When after the initial enthusiasm and initial, wow, and very nice honeymoon with the holy name, you encounter the reality on the grounds, and you say that Nam Nama Kari Bahudanija Sarva Shakti Statrapitani Amitasmaranena Kala Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi. Oh my Bhagavan, my God, you are so merciful. You invested all your energies in these holy names, and you didn't give any strict rules and regulations. But unfortunately, Hajaninanuraga, Durdayu Midrisha Mahajaninanuraga. But my misfortune is greater than your mercy. And therefore, despite understanding of this fact, I still don't feel the results of the chanting. So that's the reality on the ground, which is the next stage. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the second chapter of Bhajana-rahasya explains the problems which we encounter, all the obstacles which are there, and in a way he also explains the way how to overcome these obstacles. So he quotes Manak Shiksha of Raghunath Das Goswami, he quotes Upadeshamrita, not really quotes, he meditates on the verses which explain the problems with which we encounter on the path of bhakti. So while chanting, he is also kind of meditating or preaching to his own mind, like in Manak Shiksha, that yes, what do you expect? You still have all the problems invested in your mind, and therefore you don't feel any attachment to the holy names. So that's more or less the gist of the second chapter of Bhajana-rahasya. It's very long chapter of Bhajana-rahasya. In the beginning, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes the verse from Namashtaka of Rupa Goswami, where he lists different names of Krishna. And this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur meditation on the first line of the second verse of Shikshashtaka, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nam Nama Kari Bahudanija Sarva Shaktis. So basically it means that while meditating on the Leelas, which are indicated by different names like Agadamana or Kaliyadamana or Keshidamana or Gopi Chandra and so on and so forth, you also get the energy invested in this name. Leela, particular Leela, has certain spiritual energy, and when we chant this sort of names, we get the power, the Shakti to overcome particular problems. Like we know all the demons which are killed by Krishna, they signify certain obstacles on our path. So the particular names are there to remove these obstacles, because while chanting these names and meditating on the Leela, we straighten our consciousness and resolve the knot which is in the heart, which is nothing else but the program within our mind. So that's the second chapter, and the third chapter almost entirely is the quotations from Yamunacharya, from his what's his work? Just I always want to say Siddhantaratna. It's not Siddhantaratna. It's anyway. So it's a poem, or rather, the poetical composition by Yamunacharya. Stotraratna, yes, Stotraratna, not Siddhanta. Yes. Where he basically expresses his humility. The third chapter of Bhajana-rahasya is Bhakti Vijnana Thakur meditation on the third verse of Shikshashtaka, and third verse of Shikshashtaka is the description of nistha stage. And therefore, Bhakti Vijnana Thakur, by quoting Stotra Ratna, explaining how this emotion of humility manifests within our heart. Sometimes it may manifest as a determination. Whatever problems I have already encountered so many problems. I already, had so many bodies. Still, I will be chanting the holy name. Or sometimes it is manifested like desperation or dejection, and the Bhakta says, what hope do I have? I don't have any hope. Still, my hope is for your mercy. So that's the third chapter, which is, again, the description of nistha, where our false ego is nicely crushed and does not trouble us significantly, at least anymore. And by nourishing this humble state of mind, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives so many verses. By chanting these verses, we can practice these moods and in this way speed up the achievement of this stage of spiritual development. And then the fourth chapter is about the fourth verse, where Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks about the purity of devotional service, free from any material desires, including the desire of liberation. But this whole understanding you should get from the very beginning when you understand the dynamic of your spiritual development during the chanting and what you can expect and how you can, by meditating on the particular verses, nourish the stage of development you're in. And interestingly enough, in the third, the last two verses, despite the, except for the verse from Mangala Stotri about the daily activities of Lord Krishna, the last two verses in the third chapter are from Bilva Mangal Thakur, from Krishna Karnamrita. They're very elevated. And by giving these verses, they also express the mood of humility, where Bilva Mangal Thakur in his Siddha Roop, he says to Krishna, "Oh Krishna, if you give me your look, if you look at me, then what is the difference? What difference does it make for me if somebody will say something about me or think about me? And if you don't look at me, what difference does it make if somebody says something about me or make some arop, some speaks badly about myself?" So in a way, he also expresses humility, but it's a very elevated stage of humility where you already kind of have the experience of Krishna looking at you, and then you lose this experience of very intimate connection with Krishna, and you realize what you have lost, and you become completely indifferent to the opinions of people of this world, and you are even more immersed into this chanting. So by giving different verses, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the different aspects, and not even different aspects, but he explains the different stages within this stage indicated by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So sometimes people have very narrow understanding of the stage, but the stage has many sub-stages within. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he very carefully gives or indicates the progression within the particular stage of spiritual development.
Upagupta Prabhu, you can unmute it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for giving this opportunity to hear from you. Maharaj, I have been hearing your classes for the last 3 months on a regular basis, and I had asked this question in the seminar also, which you had given in April on the Japa retreat. Maharaj, you mentioned about Saranagati and the different stages of Saranagati. Like I had asked, there is one stage of Saranagati is at 2.7 of Bhagavad Gita, where Karpanya Dosho Patasvaga is there. But you also mentioned that at the next 2 verses later, he says, I will not be able to do something. I just wanted to know from you, Maharaj, there is this higher stage, which is sarva-dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam. Is it possible to reach that stage before we reach nistha stage, Maharaj? Or is it that only after nistha?
No, yeah, thank you. No, actually, the complete saranagati signifies that you reach nistha stage. It's basically the same. Nistha means saranagati. Saranagati means steadiness in your relationship with the holy name and with Krishna. So it's the same. So nistha. You cannot achieve, if you achieve this level of saranagati, complete surrender to Krishna, it means you achieved nistha. So.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for clarifying this. Maharaj, just one more, it's more of a request rather than a question, because I've been hearing your classes, especially about the crisis at the different stages of our bhakti. I've heard 3 seminars that you have given in different places, ILS, then one was in Muscat and one was in Bhakti. I think that was in Bhakti Vedanta Manor. But in all of them, you explained very clearly about the faith part. But the seminars are not completed. It goes till, I think, Sadhu Sangha, but the detailed explanation at the stages of Bhajan Kriya and Anartha Nivritti are not, at least it seemed like it was not completed. Is there a possibility to ever get those parts or in some future time?
Yeah, Radha Pramod Prabhu can arrange a retreat on this topic.
Yes, Maharaj, we'll be very much looking forward for it. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for answering the question. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Yamuna Kelly Mataji, you can unmute yours.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for the possibility to ask a question. Guru Maharaj, can I ask in Russian? It will be more convenient, I think.
Okay. I will translate into English, no problem.
На ретрите вы, когда показывали слайды, то один из слайдов был озаглавлен «Кто испытывает материальные эмоции, ложное эго или душа?». И вы объяснили, что ложное эго не испытывает, поскольку оно бессознательное, душа не испытывает, поскольку когда она в глубоком сне, то она всегда счастлива. И получилось, что никто не испытывает эмоции. Но на самом деле мы же их испытываем. Вот можете вы объяснить это? Спасибо большое. Харе Кришна.
The question was about the slides which I showed, and I, in the beginning of one session, I raised the question, who is experiencing the emotions? Is it false ego or is it the soul? And from the explanation, it was apparent that nobody experiences the emotions because false ego cannot experience emotions, being unconscious, and the soul cannot experience emotions because it's not really connected with with the whole thing. So who experience? But at the same time, emotions are there, and nobody experiences them. No, of course. It is the soul which identifies with the matter, and because of this principle of identification, the soul, gets some reflections of these emotions. I mean, in reality, soul does not experience them, but, in reality, it's just, yes, it's like a dream. But still, the dreams can be very unpleasant, and we experience these dreams. It's actually the soul who experiences all these miseries and problems of material life. But we should understand that it doesn't disturb the nature of the soul, and therefore that's the first point which Krishna is trying to explain in Bhagavad Gita, that you are grieving about something which is not worthy of grief. You speak so, high-sounding, bombastic words, but actually you are full because you're grieving over something which is not worthy of grief. So that's more or less the general state of being. We are always disturbed by different emotions without really understanding the reality, what it is. And So that's the very basic point of Krishna consciousness. Emotions, material emotions, is just waves in our mind, and we should stop them to get the real experience of spiritual emotions. Before stopping the material emotions, which only disturb us and only destroy our body and mind, we will not be able to get any spiritual results.
Yes, I will take from Bhakti Prabhu. You can unmute.
If some other devotees, they have maybe.
I have questions too. I have many questions written, but you are there, so you can ask the question.
Okay. So thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, I was just thinking maybe you can reflect on that. The concept of false ego, generally you mention in your lectures. So I understood by practicing Bhakti Yoga, like chanting what we do every day in the morning, it's an outcome, like it's the emotions which comes out. It's a prayerful mood. It comes out. Maybe because of how your past day you spent, what were the things happened with whom we associated, what were the incidents happened, and then when you sit next day, so it's just like a puzzle of many things in our head. And if we are a bit disturbed, so probably we will not be chanting nice. And it's a kind of a science, like unplugging from here and there, and then fixing and bringing one's like identification, like kind of the concept of false ego comes here, I believe now, like adjusting oneself again and again. And one thing which I sense in my practice, like we try some new prayers, some new adjustment, and after some days it becomes stale, like it's become constant. And then we need next dose. Am I doing right? Or is this only happen to everyone? Or some new Vaishnava song will make more impact, and maybe some pastime will make more impact, and I became conscious. Yes, now I need to check. So Maharaj, I believe you understood my question, my situation. Yes, now you can.
No, first of all, it's the general problem. Everyone has the same problem. Yeah, we get new technique, we become very excited, it works during especially retreat, and then we come back home and nothing works. Or we need some new technique or new pastime, and then it goes on endlessly. Yes, it's everyone's situation. So what to do? We know very well that we can think endlessly about things which are very near and dear to us. If it's closely related to our ego, there is endless talk within our mind. Sometimes we can experience it. We're talking with somebody whose ego is hurt, and he's just or she is just repeating again and again and again the same thing, and you try to, make sense out of it. You say something, but then it always comes back to the same stuff. It's just rotating over the same point, which is the weak point of our ego. You actually don't need anything new to be totally absorbed in this emotion. You will be chanting endlessly, how somebody hurt you and how he is bad and how dared he, and so on and so forth. this absorption becomes possible when the point of absorption is related to our ego. That's what I want to say by giving this example. And it will not become tedious, it will not become boring, it will always remain fresh, because it is connected with something which is very important for us. So if we really identify ourselves, I am Krishna Das, I am the servant of Krishna, and somehow or other I have to serve Krishna, and if this has become our ego, then we won't need any new techniques. Techniques are for the mind. On the level of mind, we need newer and newer techniques to make our bored mind absorbed in something. But then after some time it becomes something which is old. But when the change affected our ego, then the change is much deeper, and you don't need these techniques anymore. So that's the point. If you get up with this idea, oh yeah, I am Krishna Das, and I have just a few days to realize it before the death comes. And it may come at any moment. It may come much sooner than I expect. If I come with this idea, yes, I have to somehow or other please Krishna, and it's coming from this very deep level of my conception of who I am, then you don't need all these techniques. Techniques is just more or less devices for the mind.
Nidhi Mataji, you can unmute yours.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you just said that there are various levels, two levels of emotions, one at soul and one at the other level, what you have mentioned. Now, if I'm trying to connect to Krishna, am I not involving like some people approach him as a mother, someone is approaching him as a friend, somebody approaches him, it's the bhava which matters. So I am a little, can you please guide us how it is best way to, because everyone connects to Krishna in its own way, correct? That bhava is a very important, emotion plays a very important part. So please clarify.
Bhava is very important, and the whole retreat was on this topic. Yes, emotion is very important. Without emotional involvement, we cannot really practice the sadhana properly. But the sthayi bhavas which you mentioned, like all these ratis, Vatsalya rati, Sakya rati, Dasya rati, or Shanta, they are on a very high level. They become accessible on a high level. If we try to practice it on the beginning stages, it will be just imitations. We may, for some time, it will be an entertainment for our mind. And the mind will become happy. Yes, 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 Krishna, come to me. I will chastise you, you naughty boy. For some time you may entertain yourself with this, but it's not going to work on the long run. Because first it has to become sthayi bhav. Sthayi bhav means stable, steer. It should not be wavering. So the emotions, and that's what I explained during this seminar, the emotions which we can experience in our, desire to develop further in our relationship with Krishna, with God, is the emotions of saranagati. these are the bhavas, the emotions which are accessible to everyone, because we know this sort of emotions, we understand what they mean, and we can relate to them, and we can nourish them, and they become natural, we can practice them, whereas the emotions of the higher realm we cannot practice. They should be given to us. They are coming as a result of Krishna's mercy, not as a result of our practice. So on our stages, these emotions of saranagati, which is the emotion of being totally protected by God, emotion of being somebody who is maintained by God, the emotion of gratitude, emotion of determination, I will do something, and I will not deviate from this path. All these emotions are achievable, accessible, and practicable, which is the most important point.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you very much. Maharaj, since I attended your seminar, I've been reflecting a lot about this topic because it's the first time we are seeing that such a topic with respect to the holy name was brought on. So I would like to ask one question, which is having three sub-questions, I can say. You explained the importance of processing the material emotions by the process of Sharanagati. My question is, how do we deal with these material emotions like, say, anger or guilt, the feeling, and how these emotions we need to recognize, process them, because as long as we don't process them, then we cannot enter into the self-realization. So how do we do this processing of these specific emotions, as I just mentioned, and what literature in our Gaudiya Sampradaya or in other Sampradayas is available to understand the mechanism of how this happens? We only are seeing some examples, maybe in the Mahabharata or Bhagavatam. Yudhishthira Maharaj goes through a guilt and Bhishma Dev instructs. But how to process, what is the mechanism and how to process them and how to become free from that? How much we should study that?
No, Mahabharata is a very good book where extensively Srila Vyasadeva explains different emotions and different problems in different sections of Mahabharata. And basically the advice which is given in the scriptures in regard to digesting of these emotions is to bring them to the conscious level, to the level of consciousness. They're troubling us, totally, completely disturbing us when they are coming from the subconscious level or unconscious level, and they're surfacing from it and overwhelming us, and we cannot do anything about it. So, and therefore, the advice of the scriptures is to bring all these impulses, all these very strong emotional, impetuses which are there in the heart, in our subconscious mind, to the level of consciousness, and process them by meditating what will be the results of these emotions. This you very often see in Mahabharata. Bhishma Dev instructs Maharaja Yudhishthira during the battle. Sometimes Krishna tells Arjuna about this. During the exile, Maharaja Yudhishthira is talking with Bhima or with Draupadi, and he explains all these points to them. He says, anger. Take anger. What is the anger? Anger is, these are the results of anger. This is what's going to happen. Yudhishthira is explaining this looking at Bhima. Or he says, forgiveness. contrary to anger, how glorious is the forgiveness, what it gives. So the process which is recommended, which is very similar actually to the modern techniques, modern psychological techniques, is to take this emotion and meditate on it, meditate on the results of expressing these emotions. And the samskara which generates this emotion will become weaker. It is the way of taking away the energy from this samskara. These emotions are very strong and so overwhelming only because it is, nourished by some emotional energy stored there. When we process it in a peaceful environment, when we're not provoked, when emotion is already there, you cannot do anything about it. It's too late. It's already, taken over your consciousness. But when you are peaceful, when the emotional outburst is over, you're sitting down at the fireplace, and your near and dear people are around you, you can philosophize about it, think about it, and ultimately it will become weaker. It will not trouble you that much. You may not solve the problem absolutely, completely, 100%, but at least you will, you will solve it to a certain extent, and then by your spiritual development, you will, solve the rest of this problem. But at least it will not trouble you too much. That was the first sub-question. What was the second sub-question?
Maharaj, how far we should go internally in this subject to understand the mechanism using the modern techniques, which might be helpful, and whether it is recommended to take up?
See, we are the product of our time. And because we are the product of our time, we should not neglect all these quote-unquote achievements of the modern science as far as they are helpful in our spiritual path. We very much programmed from our childhood, from our upbringing, from the environment, from the internet, that here are the mechanisms of the brain, here are the mechanisms of the psychological mechanisms which are there, this and that. So there is no need to pretend that they're not there and that they're not actually attracting us in some way or intriguing us or giving us some aha moments like this. So we could use this. It actually will strengthen our faith because ultimately we will see that all the techniques and ideas and principles which are discovered by the modern science, they already discovered long ago by the sages of the past, of Vedic past. They're all there. All these things which are, proud modern people present as the latest discoveries of the science, they're already there. So we can go into it, and if we do it properly, it will only strengthen our conviction that we're on the right path, and it will also help us to understand certain principles which are there in our scriptures but may not be spelled out so clearly. We can understand what Krishna means by adopting certain information or digesting certain information which is available. I see no problem with this, and we are, we are wired up like this. We depend on this sort of presentation, scientific presentation. So why not use it to help our Krishna consciousness?
Thank you very much for that wonderful insight, Maharaj. Last aspect, Maharaj, take the example of guilt. Parikshit Maharaj, after facing that dead snake on Shamikashi, he went through a repentance, a guilt feeling. So, are there in the Gaudiya tradition, I don't know, only Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu I feel, where we could understand how these emotions work, especially the southern, eastern, and the northern divisions, western and the northern divisions, where there is specific mention which we can understand the subject.
How the emotions work?
Yes.
Yeah, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a brilliant presentation of the mechanisms of invoking emotions, and basically when Srila Rupa Goswami explains the Bharata Muni theory, originally, this is the genius of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, who was following him. He married the aesthetic theory of Bharata Muni with the Vedanta philosophy. So this is our school. Our school is the happy marriage of the rasa theory of Bharata Muni and Vedanta philosophy. Nobody else did it before. The scholars of rasa, they were developing rasa point, and the scholars of Vedanta, they were engaged in debates with Mayavadis and with everyone else, how the Vedanta is the highest presentation of the spiritual reality, of the reality in general. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he united these two completely different, seemingly completely unrelated, lines of thought, totally, completely not coinciding with each other. He brought them together, and as a result, this beautiful theory of rasa Vedanta, of rasa darshan appeared. Before, rasa was not elevated to the level of darshan. Only when Rupa Goswami explained the rasa in terms of principles of Vedanta, the rasa theory has become the rasa darshan in reality. Part of Vedanta, the completely separate school of Vedanta. So Rupa Goswami explains how emotions are triggered, how emotions are invoked, and he gives this very detailed analysis of emotions. And basically, it means that first and foremost, and that was not even there in the other scholars which developed rasa theory. They didn't talk about sthai bhav. Srila Rupa Goswami explains that especially when it comes to the spiritual realm, we need first to develop a stable emotional relationship on the level of ego. Emotions, which I explained during the retreat, are coming from ego. Ego is the switchboard of emotions. If there is ego will emotionally react. It will create emotional reactions on different, circumstances and environments. And the first thing which is needed is the stimuli for ego to switch on emotion. You need something or somebody to see somebody or something which reminds you somebody for your emotion to be triggered. And when the emotion is triggered, that is of course vibhav. First you need sthayi-bhav. First you need deep impressions on the level of ego. What is sthayi-bhav? Sthayi-bhav is the very deep impressions on this deep level of consciousness, of the level of ego, certain form of ego. Then you need some external stimulus, which can be uddipans or, alamban or all this, which Rupa Goswami explains as vibhava. Vibhava is the triggers. We see somebody who is very, great bhakta, or we hear about the life of Srila Prabhupada, how he, experienced so much hardship to manifest his devotion, his loyalty and faithfulness to the desire of his Guru Maharaj. And it invokes emotional response within us, because we know how it is. If we have particular samskaras which could be invoked, so the vibhavas, they invoke particular samskaras and awaken particular samskaras and nourish the samskaras in turn when we repeat this. And then, anubhav, we will start doing something, laugh or dance or sing or whatever, and then sattvika bhav, some involuntary things will be turned on. And it's all, discovered by neuroscience, how it all works on the levels of the brain, how the brain, being triggered by external stimulus, starts producing certain neuromediators, and these neuromediators switch on different parts of our brain, and and then vyabhichari bhavas, the whole range of different emotions start changing one another. And it's basically, all this scientists, they say that it's some hormonal, imbalances which are created. But again, it's very clear, first, the ego should be formed. On the level of ego, you will get very deep emotions which have to be triggered. And then this triggers on the level of ego, if you're closely related, if you understand that I'm related with this particular form of Krishna, then it will switch on the emotional response with different manifestations of it. And when it's all completely centered around Krishna, then the taste of this emotion will be completely heavenly. So that's, yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, there is one question in the chat box by Sugopi Mataji. She's asking, how can we identify ourselves as part and parcel of Harinam Prabhu?
First of all, you have to understand that Harinam is not different from Krishna. Before you understand this, you will not be able to understand that you are part and parcel of Harinam. Unless you want to become some syllable in the holy name. But, to realize that you belong to Harinam, and not vice versa, not Harinam belongs to you and you chant the Harinam. You have to realize the non-difference between the holy name and God, which is not an easy thing, then when you understand that holy name is God, then it will be very easy for you to understand, yes, I belong to Him, I am part of Him. So, yeah, like this.
Right. Pitamba Chetan Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danda Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances
Hare
and
Krishna.
lotus feet. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for giving your precious time and arranging this session. Maharaj, my question is that, as you mentioned, Sthai Bhava is given and we can practice the emotions. So, as we Gaudiya and we are Rupanuga, and Rupanuga means Rup Goswami and spiritual Rup Manjari, and we are aspiring for that, and our sadhana is that, and just like we Tulsi worship, ए निवेदन धरो करो सखीर अनुगत करो ये दासी. Although we don't know while practicing mechanically, but if you consciously practice, so we are aspiring for that only. So how to understand, okay, this our sthai bhav will be given, and there may be possibility das rati, sak rati, vasal rati, but it is already clearly the aspiration is that how to understand two things, as well as other question is that much related to this. What our aspiration Krishna is going to give, because Krishna is like a desired tree, like Kalpataru, and whatever soul aspires, Krishna will ready to give. So who decides? Krishna decides, or living entities aspirations decide. Happens. How it happens, Maharaj? Can you please in this guide us, enlighten us? Thank you so much.
Lord Chaitanya decides.
Yes. Lord Chaitanya has already decided and came to us.
Yes. So, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
So-
how to understand, like,
Yes, let me try to explain.
Yes, Maharaj.
It's not a very, thank you very much. It's a very difficult question and controversial too, because some people, they are of the opinion that our Svarup is already determined, and we can only get something which is already recorded within our Svarup, or the predilection is there within our Svarup, and we cannot really do anything about it. We just have to, purify our soul, and lo and behold, some beautiful peacock in the spiritual world will appear from our heart. And there is a different school of thought which say, if this was the fact, then, so many different statements of the Shastra would be obsolete and would not be relevant. And specifically, then what would be the special gift of Lord Chaitanya? Anarpita charim chirat karuna avatirna kal. What does it mean that he gave something which has not been given before him for a long time? And as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should try to reconcile these opposing statements. Usually people, they take sides, but at least we should try, because both concepts, they are very credible. Behind them, there is very, high authorities which are there. My understanding is like this. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, everything is possible. Especially then somebody will say, How about Murari Gupta? Lord Chaitanya himself was trying to convince Murari Gupta that he is Krishna Bhakta, but Murari Gupta didn't budge. How about Anupam, the father of Jiva Goswami, who was also, not really converted into Krishna cult? So the answer is actually simple. When you're already on a level of prema, when the prema is already developed, then it's not possible to change just because you're completely happy and satisfied on this level. You're completely absorbed. Before you achieve this level, the change is possible by the mercy of Krishna or your spiritual master. That's a possibility. We can see that, of course, you can differently interpret the story about Shyamananda, Dukhi Krishna Das, but still there is some kind of change under the association of Srila Jiva Goswami. So we may have certain predilection, we may have certain inclination to particular rasa, and that will manifest in our, in our desire to associate with certain people, to nourish this particular rasa. We will strive to have their consciousness. Yes, it is possible. We may have certain tendencies, and these tendencies will define our practice. But as a general rule, Lord Chaitanya gave this highest understanding, and it's possible to achieve by His mercy, and we should try to achieve this. And if it doesn't work, there is no loss. We will achieve something which is
so, Maharaj, thank you so much. But how to understand when offering prayers to Tulsi Maharani, Vrinda Devi, and we say, "Any vedandharo karo e dasi, sevadikar deo karo e dasi."
Yeah, that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada gave us, this very elevated kirtan for Tulsi Devi. Yes, bring me to this Vrindavan where I can become the dasi. Yeah, so that's just a reminder of the general mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is, going on.
So it's also depend on person's practice and as well as how consciously practice and what is inspiration. That also matters, Maharaj.
Recently, somebody told me a story. When Govardhan Prabhu was conducting his classes in the school in Govardhan, there was one disciple of him from South Indian background who was studying under him nicely. He got initiation in ISKCON and that. But then he couldn't maintain his Gaudiya Vaishnava identity. And he went over to his more like sampradaya, which is kind of more close to his original position. And he became quite a leader in this sampradaya. Still, he retains some sentiment towards Gopi Parandana Prabhu. He's very grateful to him for, his training, and but internally he has a big conflict since it's a personal thing and it's easily detectable who is the person, I will not quote him what he said. But basically, he said something. He came to Vrindavan with a group of his followers, and he said something which, from one side, revealed his internal battle. He kind of gave up Gaudiya Vaishnavism because it just didn't sit right within his heart. He just couldn't adjust to it. Still, he has some sentiments, some gratitude, some this and that, and it's the battle is going on because he cannot really absorb himself into Gaudiya Vaishnavism and the concept of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and he cannot completely get rid of this concept as well. So here is one example of a person who, the chance was given to him to develop some, let's say, more subtle, more, how to say this, more elevated, more, relationship with Krishna. And it was difficult for him to relate to it because it's a difficult concept. It is a very difficult concept. It is a very difficult thing. It's not easy. Sometimes people take it very easy. They're called sahajas, But it's a very elevated thing to relate to Krishna in his paraki relationship. The whole concept of paraki relationship is very difficult to understand in a proper sense. How is that God is, violating the rules of Dharma and this and that? So, if you're lucky, then, and especially if you have some previous samskaras, it will sit right within your heart, and you will invest your heart by making these prayers to Tulsi Maharani, and it will be easy for you, and these kirtans and elements of our sadhana will nourish your internal mood. But it's not always possible. It's sometimes it's very difficult.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I could understand by the blessing. I could understand. But one more thing, question. Maharaj, as the Rupa Noga, so this four, Lord Chaitanya says, Charo Bhava Bhakti Diya, Nachaimu Tribhuvan, Chari Bhava Bhakti Diya. Lord Krishna says, while thinking the spiritual world, I'll come and give four kinds of bhakti.
Yes.
So somebody comes to Rupa Noga as a Gaudiya, so this means Chari Bhava Bhakti is available Gaudiya, or there's a possibility one can go up to four highest Madhurya, or only Gaudiya means Madhurya?
No, Gaudiya. First of all, there are two moods which are prominent in Gaudiya Sampradaya: Sakya Ras and Madhurya Ras. So Shringar Ras. So at least these two modes are prominent, and Nityananda Prabhu, you can say that if you're not Madhurya, then you're not Gaudiya. It means that Nityananda Prabhu is not in Gaudiya Sampradaya or whatever. So, so it's definitely all these four moods are Madhurya. Are Gaudiya, but the specialty of Gaudiya, then we can ask what is the difference between Gaudiya Sampradaya and other Sampradayas? And the answer is that whatever mood you're in, whatever mood you're cultivating while chanting the holy name, or whatever association you're in, you still understand that the highest is Madhurya, and in the Parakiya mood, in this Manjari Bhav and this and that. And you worship this. For you, the worshipable deity is Radha and Krishna in this mood. You may serve in a different mood, but you still serve this sort of relationship. Your service is towards this relationship, even though you serve in a different mood. Your mood is maybe different, but for you, the object of worship, the worshipable deity, is this Madhurya mood connecting Radha and Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, you still have some time, Maharaj?
Yeah, maybe 1-2 questions.
Okay, Maharaj. We have Divichintamani, she's asking, is it possible to get rid of material emotions during one lifetime?
It's entirely possible if we are not attached to them, if we really understand, material emotions may still be there during one lifetime, but they will not disturb us. It's not a question of not having emotions. We will have emotions, but emotions will not change our attitude or will not affect our practice. The example is given of Arjuna, who was grieving so much about the death of his Abhimanyu, of his son. He was very much affected by the death of Abhimanyu, but affected emotionally, but it didn't disturb his mood, his relationship with Krishna and everything else. So the emotions will be there, but they will not be the hindrance. Emotions which we experience now, they are, they're completely disturbing our mind and eclipsing our relationship with Krishna. But we can get rid of the emotions in the sense that they will not disturb our relationship. As simple as this.
Maharaj, there's one question regarding quantity versus quality in chanting. Like somebody is asking this question, like how whether 16 good rounds, 4 good rounds or 16 just chanting number of 16 rounds, or just focusing on 4 good rounds or quality.
The problem is that if you say I will chant, I will chant 4 good rounds, and for some time you will chant 4 good rounds, and then it will become the same 4 rounds which were there before. But before you were chanting 16 rounds. So nobody is a hindrance for you to chant 4 good rounds and another 12 normal rounds.
Any systematic way to come to 16 rounds, Maharaj? They're asking this.
When there is a pressure, to have a fixed number of rounds, it basically means that there is certain pressure upon our consciousness. We have to make it, we have to do it by all means. And this pressure is good. If it's not too much, some people are very sensitive and they are, I wouldn't, what I will say now, I wouldn't say that this is a universal advice in all cases. I can well imagine that in certain cases, by looking at the person, I will say, please don't chant 16 rounds now. It will not be good for you. But like in more normal cases and more general cases, I would say chant 16 rounds, try to chant. It will give you more space and more room and more time to work on your chanting. You can do it. It's entirely possible. And it will become very easy for you if you do it regularly, and it will become very pleasant, and your progress will be quicker. rather than you try to concentrate on the 4 rounds and and then stuck with it and then become again dissatisfied with it. So in most cases, I would give the second advice. Chant 16 rounds and try your best to do it. But in certain circumstances, in certain, not circumstances, but in certain people, I would say yes, 4 rounds is good for you. Don't go higher than this.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, we have just a few. You can. I request devotees to make their just one question a little short, and so we just have one question in the chat box.
If we have how many? 45 people here. It's pretty good number. We can meet again, after some time.
I was thinking, Maharaj, just with short notice, many devotees came just within less than 24 hours. I just national night, I sent message. More than 50 joined actually. So I was thinking if we can have once in a month sessions, if we can just answer, it will be, we will.
Yeah, I would not.
Session, you can take some topic and speak for a few minutes and we'll have question answers.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we can do it. I would not promise that every month religiously I will do it, but we can try. We can try for it. Yeah, why not?
So we'll take one last question, Maharaj, for this today. Is it possible to practice raganuga-bhakti safely before nistha stage, and whenever it can be done, can it be done only by help of scriptures or a personal guide is essential in this practice?
Raganuga-bhakti.
Yeah.
No, see, Srila Jiva Goswami says that before reaching the stage of ruchi, you can practice what he calls the elements of Raganuga-bhakti. So every now and then you can, you can make a moo sound and, remember that you are a member of this cowherd community, whatever. Systematically practice Raganuga sadhana is only possible when the qualification for Raganuga sadhana is this lobha. But the lobha itself, to get this lobha, first of all, you need very close association with Raganuga Bhakta. And it already basically means that you achieve the stage of ruchi. So preliminary purification is necessary, and then Krishna will arrange. You will, yes, you need personal association. Yes, you need somebody who is practicing something. On the lower stages, some elements, some spices of Raganuga sadhana can be there. You can read some books, or sometimes, Bhakti Vinoda Thakur gives some verses from very elevated literature. Even, in the beginning, in Shraddha, he gives this first shloka about the Mangalarati. So, yeah, you can kind of entertain this idea, but it's not going to be the systematic practice of Raganuga sadhana. Systematic practice is completely different, and it needs, proper guidance, or it can be also, delegated or relegated to the holy name to guide us. But for that, you need to chant not 4 rounds, not 16 rounds, not 32 rounds, not 64 rounds, but more. And that's that. Yeah.
Well, just one question will take. Balram Pran in this.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet.
Yes.
I was wondering the difference, if I know the difference between Chaya Namapas and Pratibimba Namapas, if I know them by definition, then is it enough that I already chant Chaya Namapas, or does it require a certain purity?
No. See, the difference is, of course, in the goal, in the in prayojana which you have, in the intention, in the motivation which drives you. So, you know, Pratibimba Namabhas means that you have the wrong goal. And knowing the difference between the two is a good first investment to avoid Pratibimba Namabhas. But still, subconsciously, you may cherish the same wrong goal. You know, it may not be very conscious desire of yours that I want to achieve liberation by this, but still, it may be a substantial part of your motivation. You may or may not understand it. So just theoretical understanding of the difference may not be enough, but for sure what would be enough is the good association. If you are in a good association, then all these subconscious motivations will be ultimately erased from your consciousness. If this association is really elevating you and it gives you a lot of enthusiasm and so on and so forth. So, but knowing it theoretically is good.
Yes, thank you very much, Maharaj. Shobit.
Yeah, let's take Shobit and then we will finish. That's the last question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Yes, Shobit. Hare Krishna.
Always a pleasure to see you, Prabhu Maharaj. Maharaj, my question is a little bit unrelated and a bit embarrassing also. It is because I feel that I'm really bad at learning shlokas. So whenever that I hear, like for example, in your last lecture, there was a lot of discussion core on the Shishtastakam, the third shloka, Trinadapi Sunichana Taranapi Saishnuna Manina Mani Deva Kirtanya Sadahari. So for me to just learn this took so much time. I went home, I was like very excited. I told this to my younger Madhav Das. He took a deep breath and started from the first and then he took next breath when he finished the eighth. So when we have weekly Bhagavad Gita class, whenever that our Shiksha Guru is talking about it, my wife is the same, 9.2, 8.3, 7.9, it says 1.8.6. Even before I can flip the page, the shloka is finished. So my question, Maharaj, is that how important it is to learn shlokas. I'm sorry that I just moved out of topic a little bit, but my mind for some time. I asked this once to our Shiksha Guru and he said that Krishna will not ask you shlokas, but first I need to meet him anyway.
Krishna will not ask you shlokas, but shlokas is our way to remember about Krishna, and that's why all this Vedic literature are written in the verse form. Verse is an easy, way to remember something. It's very difficult to remember prose. Who remembers prose? Who can remember big things of prose? But if it's in a verse form, it's specifically for us to remember. And the very fact that all the Vedic literature, practically all the Vedic literature, including Ayurveda or astrology, Jyotish, they're all written in verse form. Is the indication that this is for us to memorize. And the idea is, I will explain why it is why and how it is important, and then I will say Krishna will not ask you shlokas. But first, let's understand why it is important. You know, you learn the shloka like your little Madhav. He can give you, you know, he can remember so many shlokas and, you know, chant these shlokas non-stop, but he will not understand. If you ask him to explain the meaning of the shloka, he will have a very hard time to explain meaning or to speak about the deep meaning. But it's good because he learns, and then the shloka comes and he thinks about shloka and he understands it deeper and deeper and deeper. You know, when you know the shloka and it comes back to your mind, then you can meditate on the meaning of the shloka and you can understand the subtleties of the meanings. And that's exactly what Prabhupada is doing while he's writing purports. He's explaining different aspects of the particular shloka, and he's engaging our mind. So the shloka is the short formula which is specifically coined in such a way that it's easier to remember. You know, please think, before saying that to remember shlokas is difficult, you first have to say that to remember prose is much more difficult. And then you will say, remember shlokas is very easy, relatively speaking, in comparison for this. So it's a very short formula, relatively easy, memorable. You know, you can invest it into your mind for you to think about it. Because ultimate success in spiritual life is our ability to think about Krishna. And, you know, because we don't know Krishna, we need certain guidance in thinking about him, how to think about him. And Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam shlokas are the guidance. They are guidebooks of how to think about Krishna, what to think about him. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Katha. How is it Krishna Katha? Because Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. And when we think about the shlokas from Bhagavad Gita, we think along the lines how the Krishna wants us to think. And it actually changes, wires differently our consciousness, our brain, and helps us to direct the mental energy into the proper, you know, proper channel while chanting or while singing, while, you know, preaching, while remembering about Krishna. So that's good, and it's actually not so difficult. It's just a question of habit. You know, if you hear one shloka again and again and again, naturally it comes in. You know, just record few shlokas, hear them many, many times whenever you can on your phone, and then they will come in. You know, you will remember just first word of the line and the whole shloka will come in. Initially, you will need to remember the 4 words. The first word of the first line, the first word of the second line, the first word of the third and fourth line. And then the line will come itself. Because there is rhythm and there is, you know, it's poetry. So just one word instead of, and then you will need only one word to remember the whole shloka. You know, the word comes, matra sparshas tu kontaya shitashna sukadukadaha agama paina nityam tam titikshas bharata. You know, matra sparshas, somebody says matra sparshas, the rest will come automatically because it's already recorded there. You know, but it needs some time and some, you know, some patience to do it. And then after explaining this, I can say, ultimately, Krishna will not ask you about shlokas. Don't worry about this. But still, it's actually fun Especially if you do it with somebody else, you can compete with your little Madhav. Of course, he will feel good by outdoing you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your time. Maybe after 2 months, maybe in August, is it whenever you are giving any online session, you are anywhere you are giving any English class, Maharaj, we will try to post in the group and we'll try to join on Zoom.
And I'm determined now to come as you invited me to your Hindi-speaking group and try to speak something a little bit in Hindi. I realized that this is a very good way for me to practice my Hindi. So next week I can come. Couple of times.
Thank you. I accept our humble obeisances, Maharaj, for your valuable time. Very grateful.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.